Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, staring at the empty space where signals should have been. 3 weeks ago, the communication channels that connected the galaxy had been full of chatter. Now, silence stretched across the stars like a dark blanket. "Still nothing, Admiral," said Dr. Lisa Warren, her fingers dancing over the xenobiology console. "The Andromeda sector has been quiet for 16 days now. That's never happened before." Jack nodded, his weathered face showing deep concern. The Andromeda sector housed over 20 different species, all technological and all very talkative. Their sudden silence worried him more than any enemy fleet could. "What about the krill trade routes?" he asked Commander Mike Davis, their military strategist. Mike had served in the Earth Defense Force for 30 years and had never seen anything like this. "Same story, sir. No distress signals, no trade negotiations, not even basic navigation beacons. It's like someone flipped a switch and turned off the whole neighborhood." Elena Rodriguez, their communications expert, looked up from her station. Her dark eyes were tired from days of searching the radio bands. "Admiral, I'm picking up something. It's faint, but it's definitely a transmission." The bridge crew gathered around Elena's station as she worked to clean up the signal. Static filled the air, then slowly, words emerged from the noise. "Varathi. Hunting parties spotted in sectors 7 through 12, recommending immediate evacuation. The hunting season has begun early. May the stars help us all." The transmission cut to static, then to nothing. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. The Varathi. He had read about them in the xenology reports. Apex predators, masters of war, beings so feared that entire civilizations would relocate to avoid their hunting grounds. But hunting seasons were predictable. They followed ancient patterns that had been mapped for thousands of years. "Elena, try to trace that transmission. I want to know where it came from and when it was sent." "Working on it, sir." Dr. Warren pulled up her data files. "Admiral, according to our records, we're nowhere near any scheduled Varathi hunting grounds, and their seasons don't start for another 3 months." "Maybe they changed their schedule," Mike suggested, though he didn't look convinced by his own words. Jack studied the star chart before him. If the Varathi were truly hunting in these sectors, it would explain the silence. Species throughout the galaxy knew the rules. When the Varathi hunted, you stayed quiet, stayed hidden, and prayed they moved on quickly. "Sir," Elena called out, "I'm getting more fragments. Listen to this." Another crackling transmission filled the bridge. "Our defense grid is down. They came from the Veil Nebula. This isn't their normal pattern. Something's wrong. They're not just hunting anymore. They're—" Static swallowed the rest. "Not just hunting?" Lisa whispered. "What else would the Varathi do?" Jack had wondered the same thing. In all the reports he'd read, the Varathi were consistent. They hunted, they took trophies, they left. They were predators, but predictable ones. This departure from their normal behavior troubled him deeply. "Set course for the edge of the Andromeda sector," he ordered. "But keep us at maximum scanning. Distance. If the Varathi are out there, I want to know before they know about us." As the horizon adjusted its trajectory, Jack thought about Earth's first contact protocols. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. They were still the newcomers, still learning the rules. And one of the first rules they'd learned was simple: avoid the Varathi at all costs. Days passed as they crept toward the sector edge. The ship's sensors worked constantly, searching for any sign of activity. On the 3rd day, they found their first clue. "Admiral," Mike called from his station, "I'm reading debris at coordinates 459217. It looks like the remains of a space station." On screen, the main display showed twisted metal floating in the void. Jack immediately recognized the design. It was a krill outpost, one of their mining stations, but it hadn't been destroyed by weapons fire. The metal looked like it had been torn apart by massive claws. "Scan for survivors," Jack ordered. "No life signs," Elena reported, "but I'm detecting power signatures. Some systems are still running." "Can you download their logs?" "Attempting now." "Got it." playing back the last entry. A recorded message from the station's commander filled the bridge. The voice was calm despite the chaos visible in the background. "This is Mining Station Delta 7. We held them off as long as we could, but their boarding craft got through. They're not taking our ore. They're not taking prisoners. They're just destroying everything. I've seen Varathi hunters before. This isn't hunting. This is something else. If anyone receives this, warn the others. The Varathi have changed. They're not following the old rules anymore." The recording ended with the sound of tearing metal and a final scream. The bridge fell silent. Jack had served in combat zones before. He'd seen the aftermath of battles and raids. But this felt different. This felt wrong. "Download everything you can from that station's database," and he told Elena. "Any sensor logs, any data about what happened, and keep monitoring for more transmissions." Dr. Warren studied the debris field through her instruments. "Admiral, based on the damage patterns, I'm estimating at least 12 Varathi were involved in this attack. That's 3 full hunting parties working together. They never do that." "Never?" Jack asked. "Never. Varathi hunting parties are territorial even with each other. They compete for trophies. For them to work together like this." She shook her head. "It goes against everything we know about their culture." Mike pulled up tactical displays. "Sir, if the Varathi are operating in coordinated groups, if they're not following their normal patterns, we need to inform Earth Command immediately." "Agreed. Elena, prepare a priority transmission to Earth. Include everything we've found so far." As Elena worked, Jack stared at the twisted metal on the screen. Somewhere in the dark between the stars, the galaxy's most feared predators were changing their behavior. And the silence that had fallen over the communication network suggested they weren't the only ones affected. Whatever was happening, Jack knew one thing with certainty. Humanity was about to face something it had never encountered before. The rules they'd learned for surviving in the galaxy were changing, and they were running out of time to figure out what the new rules were. The horizon moved deeper into the dead zone, searching for answers. Behind them, the debris of the mining station slowly tumbled through space, a warning that no one was left alive to heed. 7 days deeper into the dead zone, the horizon sensors finally picked up something unexpected. Not the massive signatures of Varathi warships, but something smaller and faster. "Contact on scanners," Elena called out. "Unknown vessel approaching. From Sector 2. It's moving fast and erratic." Admiral Morrison moved to the tactical display. "Hail them." Elena tried multiple frequencies but received only static in return. "No response, sir." "Wait, I'm getting automated distress signals." "It's a Taku freighter." The Taku were peaceful traders known for avoiding conflict. Jack had met several during his career and found them pleasant enough. Thin, blue-skinned beings who preferred commerce to combat. "Put them through," he ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing a Taku captain with panic in his large eyes. "Human vessel, thank the stars. Please, you must help us. They're behind us. The hunters, they're—" The transmission cut to static, then recovered. Jack could see the Taku bridge in chaos. Crew members ran past the screen, shouting in their clicking language. "How many are pursuing you?" Jack asked. 3 ships. No, 4 now. They've been hunting us for days. We tried to hide in the asteroid field, but they found us. They always find us." Captain Steve Johnson appeared on the bridge, summoned by the alert. His special forces training made him valuable in situations like this. "Admiral, recommend we prepare for combat. If Varathi are this close—" Before Jack could respond, alarms blared across the ship. Multiple contacts appeared on their scopes, closing fast. "Varathi warships detected," Mike announced. 4 vessels, matching the freighter's description. "They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes." Jack made a quick decision. "Battle stations. Helm, put us between the freighter and the pursuit ships. Charge weapons." Dr. Amy Parker rushed onto the bridge, medical kit in hand. "Admiral, what's happening?" "I felt the ship change course." "First contact with the Varathi," Jack said grimly. "About to get messy." The tactical display showed the Varathi ships closing fast. They were larger than the horizon. with organic-looking hulls that seemed to shift in the starlight. Weapon ports opened along their sides like hungry mouths. "Sir?" Lieutenant Dan Carter called from his cybersecurity station. "They're scanning us. I've never seen scans like this. They're not just looking at our weapons and shields. They're analyzing our crew, our biological signatures, our technology. Can you block them?" "Trying, sir, but their systems are incredibly advanced. It's like they're learning everything about us in real time." The lead Varathi ship suddenly changed course, accelerating directly toward the horizon. On the screen, their massive form filled the view. Jack could now see details of their technology. Weapons that looked grown rather than built, hull plating that seemed alive. "Incoming transmission," Elena announced. "Video feed from the Varathi. Put it through." The screen changed and Jack found himself face to face with a Varathi warrior. It was massive, easily 3 meters tall, with natural armor plating covering its body. 6 arms ended in manipulator claws that could serve as weapons. Most unsettling were its eyes, intelligent, predatory, and completely focused on Jack. When it spoke, its voice was deep and resonant. "Human vessel, you protect prey. This is not your hunt. Move aside." Jack straightened his uniform. "I am Admiral Jack Morrison of the United Earth Space Force. The Taku freighter is under our protection." The Varathi tilted its head, a gesture that somehow seemed threatening. "Protection? You are unknown to us humans. Small vessel, small crew. You cannot stop the hunt." "Try us," Jack replied, surprised by his own boldness. The Varathi's eyes narrowed. "Interesting. We have hunted for 10,000 years. No prey has ever chosen to fight beside other prey. We will examine this behavior." The transmission ended abruptly. "Admiral," Mike said urgently, "they're deploying boarding pods." Across the bridge, Sergeant Kate Williams appeared with a squad of Marines. "Sir, we're ready to repel boarders. Standard anti-boarding protocols?" Jack shook his head. "No, Sergeant, these aren't standard boarders. They're Varathi. Change tactics. Treat them like apex predators, not enemy soldiers." The ship shuddered as boarding pods latched onto the hull. Through the internal sensors, Jack could watch the Varathi cutting through their advanced bulkheads like they were paper. "They're in sections 7 through 12, Dan reported. "Our automated defenses aren't slowing them down." Marines fall. "Back to the secondary defensive positions," Kate ordered through her comm. "Use the corridors to your advantage. Make them fight on our terms." The sound of combat echoed through the ship's comm system. Pulse fire, energy weapons, and something else. A roaring that made Jack's blood run cold. "Dr. Parker, set up emergency." "Medical in the cargo bay," Jack ordered. "We're going to have casualties." On the tactical display, the Varathi boarding teams moved through the ship with purpose. They weren't just attacking randomly. They were studying, learning. "Admiral," Kate's voice crackled over the comm. "Squad 2 reports something strange. The Varathi aren't trying to kill everyone. They're observing us, watching how we fight." Jack realized what was happening. The Varathi weren't trying to capture the ship. They were conducting an experiment. Humans were something new, and they wanted to understand this new prey species. "All hands," he announced through the ship's intercom. "This is not a standard boarding action. The Varathi are studying us. Show them what humanity can do. Use every trick, every advantage. Make them work for every meter." From the bridge, Jack coordinated the defense. He watched his crew adapt in real time, combining technology with pure human ingenuity. Marines used the ship's environmental controls to create obstacles. Engineers rerouted power to create electrical barriers. Even the medical staff rigged improvised weapons. But the Varathi were learning too. Each defensive tactic worked once, maybe twice before they adapted. They were faster, stronger, and more durable than humans. Yet something unexpected was happening. "Sir," Dan called out excitedly. "The Varathi are transmitting to each other. I'm picking up their battle communications. What are they saying?" "Analyzing now, sir. They're confused. They're reporting that humans are using unpredictable tactics. They're calling us aberrant prey in their own language." For the first time since the battle began, Jack allowed himself a small smile. Humanity's greatest strength had always been adaptability, creativity, and the ability to think outside established patterns. Against a species that had perfected the art of hunting over millennia, those traits might be exactly what was needed. The sound of pulse fire drew closer to the bridge. Kate's voice came over the comm, strained but determined. "Sir, we're falling back to the final defensive line. But I have to tell you something. We've been doing damage to them. They bleed. They feel pain. They can be hurt." Jack made a decision. That would change everything. "All hands counterattack. Don't fall back anymore. Press forward. Show them that humans aren't just prey." The tide of battle began to shift. Human Marines, encouraged by their small victories, started pushing back. The Varathi, for the first time in their long history, encountered prey that fought back with intelligence, coordination, and relentless determination. On the bridge screens, Jack watched something extraordinary happen. His crew was teaching the galaxy's apex predators that hunting humans came with a price. And the Varathi were beginning to understand they had discovered something entirely new among the stars. 3 weeks after the boarding action, the horizon drifted in the shadow of a massive asteroid. Chief Engineer Paul White worked in the cargo bay that served as their makeshift laboratory. Pieces of Varathi technology lay scattered across workbenches. Weapons, armor fragments, and even sections of their boarding pods. "Pass me that quantum driver," he called to Dr. Ben Taylor, the physicist who had joined them after the Taku freighter docked. Ben handed over the tool. "Paul, this is incredible. Look at how they integrate organic and mechanical components. It's like their technology grows." "That's exactly what it does," Paul replied, pointing to a piece of Varathi armor. "Watch this." He applied a small electrical current to the metal. The surface shifted, forming small spikes. When he removed the current, the metal smoothed again. Lieutenant Colonel Sandra Lee entered the bay. She had arrived with reinforcements shortly after the first battle. "Gentlemen, the Admiral wants updates. What have we learned?" Paul wiped his hands on a rag. "Their technology adapts constantly. It learns from each encounter. That's why standard tactics fail against them." "Show me their weapons," Sandra ordered. Ben picked up a Varathi energy rifle. It was organic in design, fitting perfectly to multiple hand configurations. "See how the grip changes? It can be used by species with 2 arms, 4 arms, or 6 like the Varathi themselves. But here's the interesting part." He activated a diagnostic scan. The weapon remembers each user. It learns firing patterns, preferred settings, even biological signatures. It becomes more effective the longer someone uses it. Sandra studied the data. "Can we replicate this?" "We're trying," Paul said. "But their technology is beyond us. However, we can use it against them." 2 days later, the horizon detected a lone Varathi scout ship. Instead of avoiding it, Admiral Morrison made an unexpected choice. "Set an intercept course," he ordered. "It's time to test what we've learned." On the bridge, the crew prepared for their first offensive action. Corporal Alex Green, their best sniper, had positioned himself in the observation deck with a modified Varathi weapon. "Target acquired," Alex reported through his comm. "1 scout ship, standard configuration. I'm reading life signs for 3, Varathi." Commander Mike Davis reviewed the battle plan. "Remember, we're not trying to destroy them. We want to study them like they studied us." The Varathi scout ship detected the horizon and immediately changed course to intercept. Unlike before, Jack was ready. "Open a channel," he ordered Elena. The familiar face of a Varathi warrior appeared on screen. "Human vessel. You approach a hunting ground. This is not your sector." Jack leaned forward. "Actually, it is now. You taught us that might makes right. We're here to test that theory." The Varathi looked confused, an expression Jack was learning to recognize. "You challenge us? Unusual behavior for prey." "We're not prey anymore," Jack responded. "Elena, cut transmission. All hands execute Plan Delta." The horizon suddenly went dark. All power signatures dropped to minimal levels, making it appear disabled. The scout ship approached cautiously, exactly as predicted. "They're scanning us," Dan reported from his hidden position. "But our new shielding is working. They're only seeing what we want them to see." As the Varathi ship moved closer, human Marines in captured Varathi armor launched from hidden positions. They used the same boarding pods the Varathi had left behind, but modified with human ingenuity. "Boarding parties away," Kate reported. "The disguised armor is working. They think we're another Varathi ship responding to their call." Inside the scout ship, the human boarding team moved with purpose. Lieutenant Tom Black led the way, his stolen Varathi armor allowing him to blend in perfectly. "Remember," he whispered, to his team, "we're not here to kill. We're here to learn and leave a message." The Varathi on the scout ship were completely unprepared. They had never been boarded before. In their society, they were always the aggressors, never the victims. The human team moved through the ship, documenting everything: layout, technology, weapon systems, and most importantly, the Varathi themselves in their natural environment. In the command center, Tom found what they were looking for: the navigation computer. With Dan's virus loaded in his suit systems, he began downloading data. "This is incredible," he reported. "I'm seeing Varathi hunting grounds across the galaxy, population centers, even their homeworld location." From the horizon, Jack monitored the operation. "Get what you need and get out. We've proven our point." As the human team prepared to withdraw, Tom made one final adjustment to the Varathi communication system. He activated a pre-recorded message in the Varathi language, using words their prisoners had taught them. "To the Varathi collective, humanity has been here. We came without weapons ready. We left without killing. We could have taken this ship and its crew, but we chose not to. Humans are not prey, you understand. Humans adapt. Humans learn. And now, humans hunt." The team withdrew successfully, sealing the Varathi inside their own ship. The scout vessel's systems were unharmed, but their confidence was shattered. For the first time in their history, the Varathi had been outmaneuvered, infiltrated, and studied like specimens. Back on the horizon, the crew reviewed the stolen data. Dr. Warren pored over biological information, while Commander Davis studied military installations. "This is a complete intelligence breakdown of their entire civilization," Mike said with awe. "Troop movements, resource distribution, even cultural weaknesses." Sandra Lee studied the tactical data. "Look at their patrol patterns. They're predictable. They follow the same routes they've used for centuries. They've never needed to change because no one ever challenged them." Jack gathered his senior staff. "We're going to share this data with every species we can contact. The Varathi strength comes from fear and isolation. They hunt alone because prey species never work together." "What happens when prey species cooperate?" Lisa asked. Jack smiled grimly. "We're about to find out. Prepare a broadcast to all frequencies. It's time the galaxy learned that the hunting season just changed." Over the following days, the humans modified their tactics completely. Instead of large engagements, they began hit-and-run attacks. Teams of Marines would board Varathi ships, take what they needed, and disappear before the enemy could respond. The Varathi, for all their physical superiority, had one critical weakness. Their society was built on tradition and rigid hierarchy. They had never faced an enemy that refused to play by their rules. Reports started coming in from other sectors. Species that had hidden from the Varathi for generations were finding human-modified weapons and tactical data hidden for them to discover. The galaxy's prey were learning to bite back, and for the first time in 10,000 years, Varathi hunting parties started looking over their shoulders. They began traveling in larger groups, changing routes, increasing patrols. The predators were adapting to avoid becoming prey themselves. In the captain's ready room, Jack reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The war was escalating, but humanity was no longer reacting to the Varathi. They were setting the pace, choosing the battles, and winning by changing the rules of engagement entirely. The tide was turning, and the Varathi were beginning to understand. They had awakened something in the galaxy they didn't know how to hunt, something that learned faster than they did, something that refused to be prey, something called humanity. 6 months had passed since the first Varathi boarding. Admiral Sarah Bradley stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned UES Guardian, watching as multiple human fleets coordinated across 12 star systems. What started as one ship defending a freighter had grown into the largest military operation in human history. Status report, she called to her tactical officer, Major Jamie Ross. Jamie consulted multiple displays. Sector 7 reports successful raid on Varathi staging area. Sectors 4 and 11 are ready for simultaneous strikes, and Admiral Morrison sends word that the Taku and Krill fleets are in position. Sarah nodded. The alliance between species had grown stronger each day. Races that had lived in fear for millennia were finally working together. Dr. Chris Murphy entered the bridge, his psychological warfare data pad in hand. Admiral, we're seeing fascinating patterns in Varathi communications. They're arguing among themselves. The warrior caste is demanding more aggressive actions, but the strategic caste wants to understand humanity better. Internal conflict? Sarah asked. More than that. For the first time in their history, they're questioning their own methods. Some Varathi are starting to think humans might be more than just another prey species. Lieutenant Tom Black's voice crackled over the comm from his experimental fighter. Admiral, I've got eyes on the target. Varathi Fleet Base Delta, just like the intelligence said. 20 warships, multiple support vessels. Any sign they know we're coming? Negative. They're following standard patrol patterns, just like we predicted. Sarah exchanged glances with Jamie. After months of hit-and-run tactics, this would be their first major coordinated assault. Everything they'd learned would be tested. All units commence Operation Silencer, she ordered. Across the star system, human ships decloaked simultaneously. Unlike the Varathi's massive warships, human vessels were smaller, faster, and equipped with hybrid technology, combining multiple alien designs with human innovation. The attack patterns defied everything the Varathi knew about warfare. Human ships didn't attack in traditional formations. They swarmed like insects, each vessel following its own path, but somehow coordinating with the whole. Commander Ashley Smith directed naval tactical operations from the Guardian's Combat Center. Wave 1 is engaging. Fighter Wings Alpha through. Delta are focusing fire on their communications array. The Varathi responded quickly, but their reaction was predictable. Large warships turned to face what they perceived as the main threat, leaving their support vessels vulnerable. Wave 2, hit their supply ships, Ashley commanded. Wave 3, boarding teams are go. The tactical display showed chaos but ordered chaos. Human forces attacked from multiple vectors, using speed and unpredictability against Varathi heavy armor and firepower. In the middle of the battle, something unexpected happened. One of the Varathi warships changed its battle pattern. Admiral, Jamie reported urgently. Varathi command ship is breaking formation. It's adapting to our tactics in real time. Sarah studied the display. That's not possible. Their command structure doesn't allow for field improvisation. Dr. Murphy looked up from his station. Unless someone in their hierarchy is learning from us. Someone who's been paying attention to how humans think. The Varathi command ship began coordinating its fleet in ways the humans hadn't seen before. Instead of rigid formations, they started using mobile defense groups. Instead of predictable fire patterns, they began suppressing zones rather than targeting individual ships. They're learning, Tom called out from his fighter. Admiral, they're actually learning from us in the middle of the battle. Sarah made a quick decision. All units, implement Protocol 7. If they want to adapt, let's show them what human adaptation really looks like. Protocol 7 was something humanity had never tried before. Every ship, every fighter, every strike team suddenly changed their entire operational method. Ships that had been using energy weapons switched to kinetic bombardment. Fighters that had been dogfighting started acting as bombers. Boarding teams that had been raiders became saboteurs. The Varathi fleet, which had just begun to adapt to human tactics, suddenly faced an entirely different enemy. Their responses, which had started to work, were now useless again. Sir, came a voice over an open channel. This is Sergeant Kate Williams, boarding team leader. We've taken control of one of their auxiliary ships. The Varathi crew. They surrendered. The bridge fell silent. Varathi didn't surrender. It wasn't in their culture, their biology, or their understanding of warfare. Confirm that, Sergeant, Sarah said carefully. Confirmed, Admiral. They actually laid down their weapons and submitted to capture. The squad leader keeps saying something in Varathi. Our translator says he's calling us worthy adversaries. Dr. Murphy practically leaped from his station. Admiral, this is huge. The Varathi have a concept of worthy adversaries, but they've never applied it to prey species. This is a fundamental shift in their thinking. The battle continued, but the momentum had clearly shifted. Varathi ships that would normally fight to destruction began withdrawing in organized patterns. They weren't retreating in panic. They were conducting strategic withdrawals. Admiral, Ashley reported, the enemy command ship is hailing us. Put them through. The Varathi commander who appeared on screen looked different from the warriors they'd encountered before. Older, with more elaborate armor markings. When it spoke, its voice carried respect rather than contempt. Human fleet commander, you have demonstrated capabilities we did not expect. Your species has proven challenging to categorize. Sarah kept her expression neutral. Is this a surrender? No. This is acknowledgement. The Varathi Collective requests parley. There are questions that need answers. Before Sarah could respond, alerts flashed across her tactical display. Sensors detected a massive displacement of space. Something huge was arriving at the edge of the system. Energy readings off the scale, Jamie announced. Whatever just arrived, it dwarfs anything we've seen. It's the size of a small moon. The Varathi commander's image flickered, and for the first time, Sarah saw something like fear in its expression. The Deep Council has sent an Arbiter-class vessel, the Varathi said. The highest level of our leadership comes to witness. Humans, what you have started cannot be stopped now. The galaxy watches to see what happens when the hierarchy of predation is challenged. Sarah realized that their actions had triggered something far larger than a simple conflict. They hadn't just fought the Varathi. They had challenged the fundamental order of power that had governed the galaxy for thousands of years. All human and allied forces, she announced across all channels. Stand ready. Full defensive formations. Weapons hot but hold fire. We're about to meet the Varathi leadership, and they're going to decide whether humanity gets a place at the galactic table or if we all burn together. The massive vessel continued its approach, its size making even the largest Varathi warships look like children's toys. Whatever happened next would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the future of every species in the galaxy. The hunters had stopped being prey. Now they would discover if they were ready to be something else, entirely. The Arbiter-class vessel dominated the starfield like a black hole made solid. Grand Admiral Kevin Hayes stood in the command center of the UES Titan, humanity's largest warship, watching as representatives from 30 different species gathered in nearby space. What had started as humanity defending one freighter had become a gathering that would reshape the galaxy. Final status check, he called to his bridge crew. Colonel Ryan Clark looked up from his tactical display. All assault. Forces are positioned. Every major human fleet is here, plus allied vessels from the Taku, Krill, Zira, and even some former Varathi thrall species. Dr. Mary Johnson, their chief diplomatic specialist, reviewed her notes one final time. Admiral, the psychological profiles suggest the Deep Council will test us in ways beyond military strength. They're coming to evaluate humanity's worthiness for galactic leadership. And if we fail, then this gathering becomes a mass execution. Every species that defied the Varathi order will be eliminated. Kevin nodded grimly. Then we don't fail. The Arbiter vessel's communications array activated, and reality itself seemed to bend around it. When the signal reached the human fleet, every screen displayed the same image. The Varathi Deep Council materialized in perfect formation. 5 ancient Varathi, each easily twice the size of the warriors humanity had fought. Their armor wasn't just protective gear. It was artwork carved from precious metals and living crystal. When they spoke, their voices harmonized into one. Humanity. You have disrupted 10 millennia of galactic order. You have turned prey into predators. You have shown our warriors the impossibility of defeat. Explain your existence. Kevin stepped forward. Commander Ashley Smith had coordinated every naval unit to present a united front, but now everything depended on words. Honored Council, Kevin began. We did not seek to disrupt your order. We sought only to protect those unable to protect themselves. In defending others, we discovered we could change what you thought immutable. Immutable law maintains balance, the Council responded. The strong hunt, the weak hide. This has been truth since the first star burned. With respect, your law created stagnation. Entire civilizations lived in fear, never developing their potential. The galaxy had stopped growing, stopped evolving. Dr. Johnson quietly fed Kevin additional talking points through his earpiece. The negotiation was unlike anything in human history. You claim to offer better order? The Council asked. Demonstrate. Kevin had prepared for this moment. Elena Rodriguez, show them our proposal. Elena, now promoted to Communications Director for the United Fleet, transmitted a comprehensive plan across all channels. Every species present could see it simultaneously. We propose the Galactic Protection Network, Kevin explained. Instead of the strong hunting the weak, the strong protect the developing. Instead of species cowering in isolation, they cooperate and grow together. Those with military might become guardians, not predators. The Council was silent for a long moment. Then something unexpected happened. They laughed. Not the cruel laugh of predators, but something closer to appreciation. Amusing. And who guards the guardians? Who prevents your protectors from becoming new hunters? Admiral Jack Morrison's voice joined the conversation. His ship had arrived at the edge of the system, completing the human presence. We guard each other. The same unpredictability that let us defeat your warriors makes us unsuitable for tyranny. We're too chaotic to maintain rigid control, too diverse to accept blind authority. The Council considered this. Around them, space itself seemed to pulse with energy as they communicated among themselves. You offer proof? They finally asked. Kevin gestured, and Colonel Ryan launched the final demonstration. Every human ship, every allied vessel, suddenly opened their weapon ports, not toward the Arbiter vessel, but toward each other. Every species here has the ability to destroy us, Kevin announced, just as we could destroy them. Yet we choose cooperation. This is the foundation of our proposal. The tension in space was palpable. Thousands of weapons were armed, aimed, but not firing. The Deep Council's voice changed, becoming less formal. In 10,000 years, no species has voluntarily shown vulnerability to demonstrate trust. This is unprecedented. Admiral Morrison added, your system worked when the galaxy was young and survival meant simple dominance, but species have evolved. Technology has advanced. The old order limits what the galaxy could become. The Council's next statement shocked everyone present. We agree. The words echoed across every channel. Species that had expected to fight to the death found themselves witnesses to the impossible. The Varathi hierarchy has always known this. Day would come, the Council continued. A species would emerge that could challenge not just our military might, but our philosophical foundation. We did not expect you to arrive so quickly or demonstrate your point so creatively. Kevin felt the weight of an entire galaxy on his shoulders. Are you accepting our proposal? We are evolving it. The Varathi Collective withdraws from predatory hunting. We will become specialist forces within your protection network. Our warriors will train yours. Our knowledge of combat will serve defense rather than subjugation. Dr. Johnson stepped forward. The former prey species. What about justice for millennia of suffering? The Council turned their attention to her. Truth and reconciliation will be required. The Varathi will provide resources for rebuilding. Our subjugation archives will be opened. Every species harmed will receive restitution. The gathered fleets began lowering their weapons. What should have been the greatest battle in galactic history was ending with words instead of fire. Kevin made one final request. We ask that this moment be remembered not as humanity defeating the Varathi, but as the day the galaxy chose cooperation over domination. The Deep Council's response would be quoted for generations. From this day, let it be known, the age of predation has ended. The age of protection begins. And humanity, the species too stubborn to remain prey, has shown us all the way forward. Across the fleet, Admiral Morrison watched the historic moment unfold. In his ready room, he thought about the journey from discovering the silent stars to this gathering of civilizations. They had started as defenders and ended as catalysts for galactic change. The Varathi warriors, once the most feared beings in the universe, now transmitted new communications. Not demands or threats, but offers of knowledge and partnership. The galaxy would never be the same. Fear had given way to hope, predation had evolved into protection, and humanity, the newest species in the cosmic community, had shown that sometimes the best way to survive was not to adapt to the environment, but to change it entirely. The great hunt was over. The age of unity had begun, and the stars, which had once been silent with fear, now buzzed with the conversations of allies working toward a shared future. In the weeks that followed, the protection network would face challenges. Old habits died hard, and some Varathi struggled with their new role. But the fundamental change was irreversible. The galaxy had seen what was possible when species worked together instead of hiding from each other. And humanity, the species that had once worried about following galactic rules, ended up writing new ones entirely.